What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two Knicks Chicks. Thank you for joining us today. I'm your girl, Lady and the Chef, joined by my co-host today.
Diva 21, what's up?
Happy Saturday, everybody. It's a gloomy one, but it's a good one because the Knicks just came off of a nice, well defensive game win against Orlando, who the Knicks have lost to the past three times. And we're gonna recap that game. But I figured we can go over the awful loss against Atlanta that I had the Knicks winning. The Knicks did lose to Atlanta 100 to 116. This is back on Tuesday. And the Knicks, quite frankly, needed that win. Not sure what happened in that game as far as the collapse. But you can see a difference in the stats from the Atlanta game to the Orlando game that the Knicks won. In the Atlanta game, the Knicks were at 38% field goal percentage. Atlanta was at 50. The Knicks were at 30% from three-pointer. They were 16 for 52. Atlanta was at 32. Free throws, the Knicks were 8 for 11 at 72%. Atlanta was 18 for 23 at 78%. The Knicks finished with a total of 40 rebounds. Atlanta had 51. Offensive, Knicks finished with 17. Atlanta had 13. Defensive, the Knicks finished with 23. Atlanta 38. Assists, the Knicks had 27. Atlanta 26. The Knicks finished with 6 blocks. Atlanta had 5. Steals, the Knicks had 8. Atlanta had 6. The Knicks only had 11 turnovers in that game, whereas Atlanta had 14. And points in the paint, once again, the Knicks have been struggling in that area. The Knicks only finished with 40 points in the paint. Atlanta had 56. And I think also the scoring was really dull in that game. The only person that really gave two people that gave solid scoring was Bojan with 19 points. Dante DiVincenzo gave 21 points. And then you have Precious Achiuwa with 15. Josh Hart finished with 14 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Alex Burke surprisingly scored 11 points in a game that we lost. Go figure. And yeah, it just, I don't know. The Atlanta game just, they just, the Knicks seem to have been flat in that game, considering that was a game they should have taken advantage of. But they allowed Jalen Johnson, who I know you had brought up before that game, that's a player that the Knicks needed to watch for. He finished with 26 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Sadiq Bey finished with 17 points, 9 rebounds. DeJounte Murray finished with 21 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. And DeAndre Hunter finished with 22 points. So that lets you know right there, the Knicks just, and they also were outscored. The first quarter, Atlanta finished with 33. The Knicks only had 15 points. So you didn't set the tone from the rip. Second quarter, Atlanta finished with 28. New York had 35. Third quarter, Knicks scored 28, Atlanta 22. And fourth quarter, once again, the Knicks got outscored 22 to 33. So, it really wasn't a great game for the Knicks. So I'm very happy that the Knicks were able to rebound yesterday against Orlando. Considering the Orlando Magic is one of those teams that was on my list of teams that the Knicks need to prove that they can win. It's Orlando,
Yep, you've been
OKC,
saying that. You've been
Boston,
saying it for a while now. So
or right. It's been Orlando, OKC, Dallas, and Milwaukee as the teams that the Knicks seem to struggle against. So this was one of the games that I wanted to see the Knicks take advantage of and win again because Orlando has beat the Knicks 3 times now, which is, the Knicks should be beating Orlando. Not sure what was going on there. But I thought the energy from the start of the game was very high. I thought the Knicks came out with this ecstatic energy that was very much needed. And again, you can see the difference in the team stats compared to the Atlanta game.
yeah,
That the Knicks just really came out with a lot of energy. Field goal percentage wise, the Knicks finished at 48%. Orlando was at 34. Three-pointers, the Knicks was 16 for 33. I thought the Knicks did a really good job shooting from the three. They were at 48% as well. Orlando was at 23. The Knicks were only 6 for 8 from the free throw line at 75%, which I'm surprised they only took those little bit of free throws. Orlando was 14 for 20 at 70%. Total rebounds, Knicks finished with 43. Orlando had 37. Offensive, the Knicks had 11, Orlando 12. And defensive, the Knicks finished with 32, Orlando 25. The Knicks did a great job sharing a ball, and that's a big part of why they won also. They finished with 20 assists. Orlando had 22. Both teams finished with 10 blocks. Both teams also finished with 7 steals. The Knicks did have 15 turnovers, Orlando 13, and the points in the paint once again low. This was at 36. So I think that's something that the Knicks are really going to have to work on. But again, off the rip, first quarter, Knicks scored 31, Orlando 23. Second quarter, Knicks 24, Orlando 16. Third quarter, Knicks scored 25, Orlando 15. And the fourth quarter, Orlando scored 20, the Knicks 18. So the Knicks controlled the pace the entire game and didn't allow Orlando to even come close within that game. And a big part of that was the defense. What's your thoughts on that game?
Well, just overall, like they came out aggressive out the gate. And I always say when they come out aggressive and set the tone, 9 times out of 10, the Knicks are gonna win. And
Mm-hmm.
it was like, let's start off with just like Jalen being back. Like he's a floor general. Like you saw it just like just their attitude, demeanor, like the confidence in them. And let's face it, like the Knicks only gonna go as far as Jalen and Randall's gonna take them. And you saw just the difference in like their rhythm, just their shooting, the hustle plays, and collectively, Precious, man, what he was doing. And I see Tibbs learned from that Hawks game where he rode with Precious as opposed to going with his man Burks. Because Burks can't find his way to the basket if you clear the lane for him, but that's neither here nor there. But overall, just Sims, like sometimes you see the hustle play in Sims, and he's this is what you're gonna get from him. 9 points and with the rebounds, but it's sometimes when he don't, a lot of times when he don't mention what Sims does for that team.
Right.
And just overall, like everybody like had a hand in this win. It wasn't like a one-sided person that just took over, the game outside, Brunson. But let's he 29 minutes he played. And this is what, he should be playing as opposed to, exhausting those minutes on the floor because you need him down, down the stretch. But just defensively, like what they were able to do for the Magic, like just collapsing on them and you know, like Precious. He had the task of guarding Bonchel, which we know what he can do, and Wagner. So he pretty much, yeah, they scored, their points, but just defensively, like what he was able to do and get, the double, his points, the blocks, the steals, the rebounds, like this is where like he's like, I guess this is like he's hoping this is his home, and I'm hoping, when Tibbs figure out, when everybody gets healthy and figure out that rotation, that I think is going to be pivotal that he finds somewhere in that rotation for Precious because he's going to be a great backup for Randall. Um, just uh, uh iHeart, or just like collectively, everybody had a hand in this win. And they know like we got to get this win. We got two back to backs. Now we get ready to go on the road. So, the players are mindful of, of their schedule. They know. And, they know where they stand at in the standings and, what's gonna happen, the scenarios, they know. And so this was like an important win for them. Um, just hope that they could, carry this over, for those two back to backs. But great win. I was like pumped. I was like, this was a much needed and then kudos, like you everybody's hearing the stats, like this is one of like the best defensive efforts of the league so far. To hold them to 74 points, that says a lot for the Knicks, like just overall, because we know what they can do. And again, just imagine when they get healthy.
Yeah, I thought this was a great win by the Knicks. To be honest, defensively, You know, I thought between Precious Achua, who finished with 5 blocks in the game, which was much needed, Isaiah Hartenstein contributed with 3 blocks.
Yeah.
Jericho Sims also had a block. I thought that those guys defensively did what they needed to do, and it made the difference in the game. And Precious Achua finished with a double double, finishing with 14 rebounds. He had 15 points. He had 2 steals. Isaiah Hartenstein also had a steal. He had 2 assists. Um, I thought that those guys, especially Precious, I feel like he's finding a home here with New York. He seems to be a lot more comfortable because he's getting the opportunity to get the minutes to show what he can do out on the floor. And I think that's what's important. And I feel like Jericho Sims the same as with him. I feel like he's finding his rhythm here on this Knicks team because he's getting the minutes. And he seems to be finding his footing here on the court. And the same thing with Miles McBride, who also finished with 14 points. He had a really solid game. He also had 2 steals. I thought he had much needed 3 pointers when we needed them. And his shot he looks very comfortable and confident shooting the ball. Um, you know, Alex Burke only played 5 minutes. And I think that's because the guys that were on the floor between DiVincenzo, McBride, Hart, Achua, those guys really were getting the job done. There was no really need for Tibbs to put Burks in like that. I do think that Shake Milton needs to get a little bit more minutes. I would like to see him get a little bit more playing time and not get the same amount of time as Jacob Toppin, which is like a little over a minute. But we'll see what happens. Considering the Knicks had a nice lead most of the game, I felt like he could have came in a little sooner. And there was also a couple of times in the game where Jalen Brunson fell to the ground, and it was a little nerve wracking because you didn't know if he tweaked his knee again. Because he's constantly hitting the floor, but not in a way like the way Mitchell Robinson always hits the floor. It's just. But I think that what I'm seeing from this Knicks team when they play the way they played against Orlando, you definitely see the difference in when the Knicks play together and they come together. And I don't know if it necessarily has to do with Jalen Brunson. I think he has a big part of it, but I think guys have to be locked in. I
Oh, for
also
sure.
think that this win was very pivotal because right now, again, anywhere between fourth and eighth is up for grabs for anyone. But do you think that the Knicks know now, or it's in their mind? I know they know, but are they able to make that switch before they get OG and Randall to really win these next? I don't know how many games is it now, like 19 games to be able to win because they have to get some wins under their belt. It can't be you win this one, you may take one against Philly, then you win one, then you lose. They can't really afford to play the back and forth game of winning and losing games. So how do they figure out a way to play like they did against Orlando moving forward to pull out these wins for the remainder of the season? So this way they don't really drop to that fifth, sixth through eighth
Well,
seeding.
I think as long as Brunson stays healthy and is on that floor, because he's a difference maker. I'm telling you, like when he played yesterday, you saw a difference in their play. Like they were just like, okay, we got our floor general, our floor leader back. And he makes the difference because, as Deuce, we know what he can do and he's a nice fill-in. But again, he doesn't give, and he's no Brunson, and you're not comparing the two, but you could just see the difference in when Brunson is on the floor. He starts, he's the leader. This is what point guards do. He's able to set the tone, get everybody involved, and you know he picks his poison, and he creates, it helps create better shots for the players. So I think as long as he's able to stay on that floor, they have a great chance to take these games before OG and Randall gets back. It's doable, you know. because again, he's I was like, man, when I knew he was playing, I was like, yeah, and the floor general was back. I mean, because that's what he is. He's a closer, he's a finisher. He's like the do all, and not that you put a lot of pressure on, but he is, and if he's able to stay on that floor, they have a much better success of taking, these back to backs, and that road game. They're going on a 4 game road stretch. It's doable. So I mean, I think they can hold out. What they got? What, 19 games left or something like that?
Give
Um,
or take, yeah.
Yeah, give or take. So they can, majority of these games, these wins, they can most definitely take. And everybody has to just, play their role. And I always say, like, when the Knicks play, well, rather when teams play with that physicality, and when the Knicks are able to match them, and which they did yesterday. Again, that's a proven, recipe for success. Don't play down to teams. Play up. Let them conform to your style of play. And when they do that, so it's a lot of things that where it can bring success with the Knicks. What I'm saying? Like just having your floor general, just playing, that physical game, matching that team, and just out hustling, and they're able to bring success.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head with those points, and I agree. I think that you know, I think it also matters too if guys are gonna be um like, I don't want to necessarily say hot, but they're able to knock down shots on that particular night. Because you can have Jalen Brunson, the floor spacing can be there from the pick and roll, whether it's coming from Hartenstein, it's coming from Sims, it's coming from Precious or whoever. But if you have a guy like Dante DiVincenzo, just for example, and he's struggling and he can't knock down a basket, or Josh Hart may be off from knocking down a three, or Miles McBride is not able to knock down a shot, then you know, I wonder if the Knicks are able to go, okay, we're still going to shoot, but we have to know we got to take the ball in. And I think sometimes lately with the Knicks, they haven't been collectively, like last night against Orlando, I saw that extra pass, whether it was Josh Hart driving, Brunson driving, and there was that extra pass and they was catching whoever was in the lane and they were able to make an easy basket. But the Knicks haven't been doing that as much. They haven't been taking the ball inside and getting those points in the paint as much as they were when they were on that hot winning streak in that role, when they were like coming together, finding their identity. I find lately the Knicks haven't been taking the ball inside. And to me, I think that could kind of hurt them, when you don't have that where you could deviate to taking the ball inside versus just settling. I don't even want to say settling, but continuing to not shoot threes and you're not knocking them down. So, and even if it's not necessarily an easy layup or a floater, but if guys can take the mid range jumper and shoot it, and I want to see more of that because I think that again, maybe I'm still triggered from last year in the playoffs when the Knicks were struggling to knock down a shot against Miami, and we were just no one could knock down a basket. And you didn't really see too many guys trying to take the ball inside. And I want to see the Knicks, you know, return to doing that. I don't know if it's that Mitchell Robinson's not there and we're not able to get him the easy lob like we were doing. And I know some fans were complaining because they felt like Brunson wasn't passing Mitch those lob passes so he can get the easy dunk as much as he should have. But I don't know. Do you think that that's part of the reason why? Because maybe having Mitch down low, you knew Mitch is so tall, you just throw that ball up, he can grab it one hand, dunk it. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, or can we get back to do because Mitch is still. I think it's gonna be a while before Mitch comes back.
No,
He's still at the very early stages before he comes back, but I don't know if the points in the paint, if we've kind of drifted away from that because Mitch is not there, or is it what is it that the Knicks are just the points in the paint numbers have
no,
been so low lately?
but you got to remember when Precious was there, how they went on that win streak. um, when he gets back, he's going to be able to stretch that the floor. So I, I mean, like I said, I love Mitch's game, what he does for the Knicks offensively and defensively. But I think once you get Precious back and Randall, I think that they will be okay. Again, not that I'm diminishing and taking anything from away from
Hmm.
Mitch, but I think when you get those core guys, at least those two back, the Knicks will be they'll be okay. Now they're healthy, minus Mitch. So they can get back there. So it's not all placating on Mitch, his return. Because you gotta remember they went on that tear when he was out.
Yeah, this
So
is true.
you just need those two core group of guys, and the Knicks they'll be okay. And they'll get back to those winning ways, and they could be play more. They're playing physical now, but those other little tangible things will come. As far as just like this, guys are be able to because let's face it, the only person that really could create their own shot right now is sad, but it's Brunson and Randall. But with Precious there, he opens up that floor, that space, and give other guys, and maybe Bogdan, it'll help settle him down because you know we know what he can do. I'm not gonna mention Burks, but and who knows? It may be even for Burks. Because they were playing on such horrible teams where it made them shine. It made them look great. But
Hmm.
once you get these other guys back, that can definitely open up the floor space. So Mitch, again, I'm not to mention anything he did, but I think once you get Precious and Randall back,
You
the
mean
Knicks will be
OG?
they'll be all right.
You mean OG?
I mean OG, excuse me, yeah,
Okay.
OG and Randall.
Yeah.
Correction.
Do you think that once Randall and OG comes back, it takes the pressure off of Burks and Bojan and that the bros that they're playing because maybe right now they're having to play more minutes, they're having to come in and help create and contribute to giving us baskets. Bojan's been a lot better at doing it, but do you think once Randall and OG comes back, that takes a little pressure off them and they can come off the backcourt, come in the second unit rather, and they can come in and do their thing? And do you think that's going to alleviate some pressure off of those two guys?
Oh, for sure. But and that's another thing. Let's just, again, when these guys come back, now that rotation is going to shorten. So, you know, let's, they better hope, there's some minutes for them, and it's not going to be significant minutes, but
Mhm.
it'll still help, with bench and just resting these guys and not be able, playing them so many minutes. Um,
Yeah.
So it'll definitely, help, with benching, and even bogey, maybe, it'll hopefully relax them, and they can, not feel so pressured to like, oh, I gotta score. I'm, like, okay, I'm just here to just alleviate, because
Mm.
sometimes I think that's what Burks feel like when he comes in, because yeah, Burks, this is his second stint, and he was better with the first stint. But I just see when he comes in, it's like he feel like he sort of reminds me of a of Grimes. Like they feel like they have to score as soon as they get in the game, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to. Like just like it's you could do other little things. And I think, hopefully, when these guys do come back, Burks will find his fitting within the team. And you don't necessarily have to score, just, play some defense, get a steal, go, so maybe that will, help settle Bogey and definitely Burks down.
Yeah, I think it'll alleviate the pressure because I think having Bojan coming into that second unit with McBride and whoever else Precious comes in off that, I think that it will help. And I think that Bojan will be a nice like threat, coming off the bench, and he can contribute and give you, 20, 15, 20 points easily coming off the bench. Um, I did notice that with Burks last night. He came in the second quarter, and this is probably why Tibbs, partially why he sat him down. He drove into a ball of three defenders
Yeah.
who were way taller than him, and all three of them literally had their hands up on Orlando and literally just smacked the ball right out of his hands. And I don't know if it was Clyde or the other guy, gentleman that was commentating the game. They said Burks just ran right into a wall. And it reminded me exactly of what you just said. It's like he feels this sense of like he gotta get in there and score, this pressure, maybe like what Grimes felt. And then even Obi Toppin had mentioned this, where there was this pressure to feel like you gotta go in and score, because if not, you're going right back to the bench. And I was asking you this the last podcast episode of like, I feel like Burks has been in the league long enough that you should be able to, when you're on the bench, you should have enough experience that you should be able to watch the game as it's being played and figure out where you need to implement yourself in the game. Again, every game is going to be different against each team. On it's different when it's live, and I understand that. But I think with Burks, it's this sense of like he has to rush, and it's like, slow down, just get to your spots. Trust me, the ball is going to come to you. Be ready to shoot. And he always gets himself, I said it the last episode, he gets himself stuck in those corners where the shortest 3-point shot you could take. He gets himself stuck in that corner. He either can't throw the ball out, or he's trying to get out of the traffic, the ball of traffic. And I'm like, and I think, and there was one point where I saw with even Precious, he got a rebound. He went to throw the outlet pass out to Josh Hart, and whoever from Orlando came in and stole, and Tibbs was pissed.
Oh yeah, I
He
saw that.
flared his
Yeah.
arms. He was like, what the hell was that? Because, and I understand why you can't make those kind of mistakes during this point of the season. You got to be on your A1. It's no time for mistakes right now. And I feel like the way Tibbs preaches the next man up, guys have to be ready to come in live game situations and perform. Okay, we know you don't have Randall. We know you don't have OG back yet. But those of you who are out here, you have to go out there and give it 200%. We're not asking you to go out there and do tricks and this, that, and the third, but we need you to do the other little things. It's not just scoring. So last night's game was a great game where I thought defensively the Knicks were locked in, offensively the Knicks were locked in. I just think that when we get Randall and OG back, I think that it will be a great help, and that now the second unit could come in and do their thing. Now you got your starting unit back. But I just think that guys just need to be ready to perform in games, just because, I think that at this point of the season, the Knicks have to pull off as many wins as possible, to avoid moving fifth through eighth in the East. So if they can do that, salute to the chat. Um, Rodney Coleman, salute. He said, I want to see what Shake got. He was the fourth leading scorer on Philadelphia at one point. Yeah. I thought last night's game, to me, Tibbs should have put Shake in. You were
Yep.
up by
Yeah.
20. Why didn't you
Exactly.
put in? That was a perfect time to sit Brunson down. This is what I mean with Tibbs. I don't understand that. I understand you don't want to lose the lead, but you could have gave him more than a minute and 13 seconds. That's the same amount of time you played Toppin, Jacob Toppin. Not sure what's going on with that. And this is kind of what we were alluding to in the last episode, where Tibbs has this thing of like, it's not even just the rotations. He's done this in the middle of the season when we had everyone healthy. The Knicks up by 2025. He's still playing Brunson and Randall. Why?
Exactly.
Sit him down. It's 5 minutes left of the fourth quarter. What do you want them to reach a milestone in scoring? I don't understand why does Tibbs do that. It's beyond me.
Yeah, it's baffling.
Paris Jugger, salute. He said Burks needs 20 games to learn how to play smarter basketball. he's played he's played well over however many games. To me,
And
Burke should be settled in. You've been in the league long enough.
and this is his second stint with the Knicks. He
And
knows
I get that
teams.
this is a different team that he was on with the
Yeah.
Knicks. This is a different squad. If anything, this team is better. Maybe he's used to playing on mediocre teams. That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
When he was on the Knicks, they weren't good. They were mediocre. When he was on Detroit, horrible. So maybe that's where he shines on the mediocre, horrible teams because now you're the man because we know you can give us 15, 20 points on any given night. I'm not worried about Bogdanovich, but Burks, I have a big fat question mark because he just seems to not have found his footing on this team. I'm not sure what it is, but I don't think that Burks needs 20 games to learn how to play smarter. And who knows? Maybe Burks will be the silent night and come in the playoffs, and all of a sudden now he wakes up and comes alive. He may. I won't put it past him. He may come in the first round, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, snap, look, he gave you 15, 18 points. Great, we'll take it. But I think Burks has been in this NBA, National Basketball Association League, long enough that you don't need a certain amount of games to learn how to implement yourself onto a new team. Or I don't forget the fact that he played for the Knicks before, but a new team and then to get yourself ready for the playoffs. I don't want to hear it. I just
You
think
better.
that
And you need to figure it out because when that rotation shortened, where you going
uh,
to fit at in that role. So this is where you need to like. I don't want to say prove yourself, but you can play with the best, and I can score, I can contribute, I can do other things. So this is the time for you to like figure it out because once OG and Randall come back, that rotation is going to shorten.
right.
Let's hope he find even minutes for Deuce. You know, things like that. So these are he needs to like figure it out. 20 games. Do we have what 18, 19 games left? So you don't have much time to figure it out.
And that's a great point because that's true. Now you're going to move to coming off the bench once you get Randall and OG back. You got to find your footing now. Figure out, that's why and I've said this before, I like Deuce McBride a lot because it's not just his hustle. Even we used to laugh at him when he came in when he was getting 4 minutes a game. But Deuce came ready. He knew he was only getting maybe 3 to 5 minutes in a game. And we used to laugh, oh, look at Deuce coming in, chucking up a shot right away. Because Deuce wanted to get on the scoreboard. But I think one thing that Deuce did really well was the past 2 years, he was going from the G League, he was going to the Knicks, right? But one thing he used to do really well was he watched the game. I'm not talking about film, I'm talking about while he was on the bench. He was watching a game and learning, watching Jalen Brunson, learning where he should be, learning where guys are on the floor and where he should be ready to make those smart decisions of passing. And it seems like he knows where he needs to be. It doesn't look, like he's not there where we need him to be point guard wise, but just the confidence that he worked on his shot, he's worked on his game. You could just see it when he's out on the floor. And that's what I'm saying with Burks, who you've been in the league way longer than Miles McBride. You should be watching that game when you're on that bench
Be a
and
student of
looking.
the.
Yes, be a student of the game. You should always be up for learning in life. You need to sit on that bench and look at where, okay, I see Josh Hart. Josh Hart is always over here on the floor. Hartenstein Precious be over here on the floor. I see this one moves, this is kind of move, Jalen Brunson when he moves over here. Because Jalen Brunson did a nice move last night. He did a whole circle and did it twice and went around all of them and made the ball in. They had no
Yeah.
answer. But just being ready, like okay, DiVincenzo, sometimes he'll get the ball right at the top of the key from Brunson and he'll make that nice bounce past whoever's in the corner. Like little things like that. Watch where your teammates are at on the floor. So when you come in, it's not going to be to a T, but you have a feel for where, okay, I need to be in this position. I need to be ready for this X, Y, and Z. And I just feel like Burks get out there And it's like, I don't know. He just looks lost. He's looking
Yeah.
around. He doesn't know where he needs to be. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on with Alex Burks, but he's just all over the place. Salute Just Nix. He said, "Do you guys think it's priority to sign Precious and Hartenstein and OG?" That's a great question. I think that depending on how the Knicks finish in the postseason, I think that determines who you keep. And it's not to disregard what guys have done throughout the regular season, but I think that determines who the Knicks are going to keep, right? So if the Knicks, to me, I think it's important that the Knicks move past the second round. I think you've proven that you could make it to the first round. They've proven that they can make it to the second round. You got to get to that Eastern Conference Finals round. Now, I think because Mitchell Robinson is injury prone, and we know Hartenstein has the Achilles injury, which is sore. It's going to be something that he's going to have to deal with for the remainder of his career, whether it's with the Knicks or another team. But I think you can't just rely on just having Mitchell Robinson. I think you do need a solid backup, and I like what Hartenstein brings. And even if that means next season Tibbs wants to run it back and have Mitch starting and Hartenstein off the bench, okay, cool. But I do think that the Knicks need to sign Hartenstein and pay him the bag and whatever he's asking for. I think he's proven that he's worthy. OG for sure. I think the Knicks need to, in my opinion, I think the Knicks need to sign OG. I think
Yes.
OG fits very well on this team with Randall, with Brunson, with Hart. I think he fits very well in this team. And shout out to Josh Hart, who's been stepping up to the plate lately. I mean, he just looks very comfortable. Like this is his team. The way he playing out there is like this his team. Jalen Brunson, who?
Well, the Knicks is getting their money's worth because he
Exactly.
signed that
Very much
lucrative
so.
contract. So
Very
it's
much
paying
so.
dividends, and he just needs to continue on because this is why they brought him here. From what he showed, some flashes of like, oh, them hustle plays and that tenacity from last season.
Mhm.
This is what we need down the stretch. Too. I mean, yeah, we didn't get it. We got flashes of it, in the beginning, but this is the heart that we need because it's like Tibbs, his mantra is next man up. Okay, well, you may just beat him, and there were times where Josh was the man.
Yeah.
So but it's all about consistency. With all the players. Yeah, you're not gonna do it every night because there's gonna be nights where Brunson is gonna be off,
Exactly.
slightly off, but this is where now we need Deuce and somebody said what Tibbs, Shake needs to practice more. And I agree. But these are the nights and these are the guys that, will have, you're going to have to lean on, because a player is entitled to an off night. They're human.
Agreed.
So, but
Agreed.
Josh and Devo, like, we need consistency and watch the turnovers, because hey, this is the moment you live for.
Yeah. I agree. I also think those guys need to step up too because what good is it having a great starting five, the starting unit, for only the bench to be okay? I don't want to
Yeah.
say mediocre or bad, but just for them to be okay. Because then now that puts the pressure on the starting unit to have to carry the majority of the weight throughout the game of, okay, we got to keep us in it. Everybody else has to step up too. Josh Hart, Miles McBride, Bojan, Precious. You got to come out there, Hartenstein. You got to come out there and perform. You just can't afford to have those guys not perform. But I think that, to be honest, I think the Knicks should look to signing Precious also. I think they should look to keeping him because he can play that 4 or 5 position. I think he's a great backup to Randall. Unless you find the Knicks are able to find and sign someone who's a lot better, honestly, I think the Knicks should look to sign in Precious. But I do think for sure OG and Hartenstein, I think the Knicks should keep them because if you're trying to run it back next season, you don't really want to it's not broke. You know what I mean? So don't try to bring in, other players that you really don't need. Um, so yeah, I think OG Hartenstein for sure. I think they should look to signing them, and then Precious. I think the Knicks should look into keeping him around as well because he seems to have found his footing with the team. His confidence is there. He gives you a little bit of everything. He can shoot the three, shoot the mid range. He can give you an easy dunk down low. He can block the ball. His defense is good as well. So I think that for the front office, though, I think for them, they're going to be watching how this Knicks team finishes in the postseason, and that'll determine any moves that they make as far as bringing in or letting go of anyone on the Knicks and bringing someone else. So I don't know. Your thoughts on that?
Um, I mean, yeah, of course, I feel that they should, start even if iHeart, once Mitch come back, even if he goes back to the bench, you know, the Knicks just need solid, reliable guys. At this point, does it, yeah, it matters who starts, but to know that you have, you know, a guy that's can be replaceable for the other guy or can do similar to what if when Mitch comes in how he does what he does offensively and defensively. Now iHeart piggybacks off of that. So I
Mhm.
mean at this point they just need two solid backups that can they can rely on. um yeah, they both suffer injuries. That's the nature of the game.
And
And OG,
percentage.
I mean, you know, I, he's definitely like a nice, addition, you know, um, for Randall and push come to shove, you can, switch him depending on the matchup 2 to 5. And OG, like what can you see, the tangibles that he's brought, that was like just overall a nice, pickup for the Knicks. And I definitely feel that, they should look into to signing them. That Hartson, of course, he's gonna command money. The other big guys are getting it, so let's just hope that they find some money in their little pockets, as for that front office, um, because the chemistry's there. And you
Mhm.
want to continue on with that. Like why disrupt it? If
Exactly. Exactly.
you know what they can do. So I just hope that they can definitely follow through and find some room, money wise for those three guys.
Yeah. I agree. Don't disrupt what is already there. And I think the Knicks front office did a really good job so far this season of getting rid of a lot of the dead weight because the Knicks had a lot of dead weight that they had to get rid of.
Oh
Um,
yeah, for sure.
and we were talking about that a lot, saying how the Knicks just need to get rid of the dead weight. Ronnie Coleman said Burks just needs to slow down a bit. He seems to be sped up for some reason. Yeah, exactly. It reminds you of when we had Grimes. Everything was in a rush. And it's like, why are you rushing? Like he has a train to catch after he shoots the ball. I'm not sure why he was always rushing. Josh Hart and Dante need to play smarter with a big lead. Their turnovers are ridiculous sometimes. I agree. Yeah, I heard Diva Locks just say that about the turnovers. The turnovers are really high. Um, you know, there's those exception games where sometimes the Knicks may have 14, 15, maybe 16 turnovers and they win. And that's because their defense is really good. Guys are knocking down shots, they're hitting a three. But when the Knicks are at 10 or less turnovers, they have a higher chance of winning games. But I agree. I like I pointed out a few minutes ago, like Precious grabbing a rebound and throwing a outlet pass to Josh Hart only for it to get stolen. Like it's little things like that. I think that guys just have to be more mindful of and avoid the turnovers. Um, do you feel like Josh Hart has got better with the drive to the basket? Remember, he used to be too quick for his own self and then he wasn't even making a layup. Do you feel he's found a better sense of control now when he's driving to the basket?
Oh, for sure. And he's using his strength too. a 6'4", that's not the tallest, considering sometimes he's used as the five, but Josh Hart, he's definitely, that's it seems like that's something that he's worked on, like okay, you can, because I always call him like the Energizer Bunny, but he's definitely like worked on that and like know when, okay, this is when I'm gonna let which we score, because before he used to like, I don't know, like you alluded to, he was like going so fast where he was faster than his body can control. So that's something that he's worked on and is paying dividends, for the Knicks. And just that putback yesterday that he did with when Brunson shot that ball, like
Mhm.
Josh, like man, even
Right.
Brunson was surprised. He was like, "Where'd this come from?" So
Right.
these are the things that you work on and you clean up, down a stretch because this is what's going to be needed of you. Those little things that you can do, and that's why or the coach always says, if you can't score, then there's other things that you can do that can
Agreed.
help get that W. So, but nice, Josh Hart has really, come a long way,
Yeah.
compared to the beginning of the season. There was a lot of complaints about him, um, about, oh, he was paid all this money, da, da, so I think he's another one that's found his footing um and again, just the fact that Brunson was on that floor. I mean, he's their leader, you know. He sets the tone, and so I think Josh Hart has really, again found his footing.
Yeah. I think because with Josh Hart, he had got the money before Quickly. And granted, Quickly was asking for a lot and wanted his number and what he wanted respectfully. I just think that I was one of those fans that was like, how did Josh Hart get a bag before Quickly? You know what I mean? But again, it works out for whatever reason, and it does. My only thing with not Josh Hart, but a few other guys included Randall, and I'm trying to think who else does it on the team. I feel like it's mainly those two because I don't really see Brunson or too many other guys do it. I think it's important that moving into the playoffs, the complaining to the refs,
Oh yeah,
nip it, zip it
yeah.
and nip it. Because that time you taken to file a complaint,
File a complaint.
you could have been at the other end playing some defense. And that used to drive me insane last season. It was like, why are you complaining about every little call? You know how many times Brunson falls on the floor and you could see the frustration on his face. And sometimes he stares at the ref. He may bang his hands on the floor, but you don't have time for that. Like, get back on the floor, hustle, make up for it on the defensive end, or make up for it on the next time you go down the floor on the offensive end, and make something happen. Take it out on the floor, not out on the ref. So that can be, it can hurt the Knicks if they go back to that. Like, I don't want to see Randall come back. And Randall shied away from that. He stopped doing that complaining stuff a lot before he got hurt. I didn't see him complaining as much to the refs. And I haven't seen Josh Hart doing it as much, but I see sometimes he has a word or two with the refs because he wants to get his complaint out to the ref. But I think that if the Knicks, as long as they stay away from that, they'll also be successful. I don't think that complaining to the refs is going to help you, especially in the playoffs. Take it out on the floor and make up for it on a defensive play or come down on the offensive play. And whether you make a good pass or you make the basket, that's where you make up for it. When unfortunately the refs are not going to always get it right. And sometimes, yes, they do call horrible calls. I agree. But I don't want to see complaint after complaint after complaint when you should be in the huddle. The whole team's in the huddle. Tibbs is talking. You still talking to the ref. I don't want to see that going into the playoffs. I really don't. Parrish said Burks and Bogdanovich haven't been in a serious game in 2 years. That's why they looking that exactly. But again, as crazy as it sounds, I feel a lot more comfortable with Bojan on the court than I did with Fournier. They both don't play good defense. Fournier's defense was a little better. but I feel more comfortable, and I feel like the guys on the Knicks team feel more comfortable passing Bojan the ball than they did Fournier. I don't know why, but it looks like they more comfortable passing him the ball than they did Fournier when Fournier was on the team. But I feel more comfortable with Bojan scoring and giving you 17 to 20 points than I do with Alex Burke. And I want Burks to make me eat my words in the playoffs, and all of a sudden he comes alive. I pray that that happens. I really do. But
Yeah.
it's exactly like we were saying. When you come from being on these mediocre, horrible teams, you look great on those teams when you could shoot the ball and score. But now, and I'm sure Burks is probably like, whoa, this Knicks team is quicker. They're faster. It's less mistakes. This is not the same team you were on when you were here. They've elevated. This team has grown. And he needs to jump on board, or you got to get on off and get on out and go somewhere else where and go. I don't know. Send him back to Detroit. Go to us. Go somewhere. Just not here. So I'm telling you, he got these last couple of games in the playoffs to prove to me. If not, the Knicks got to ship him out. Deuce gave Brunson some good rest minutes last night. Yeah,
Yeah, he did. That's why I said Brunson only played like 29 minutes. And that's what that's what he should be doing, playing, 29, 30. This is to help preserve him down the stretch.
yeah. I don't even think he should play 30 minutes
Wow.
because you
Yes.
need to preserve him for the playoffs.
Yeah, I
Isaiah
agree.
Hartenstein too. I mean, he seems to be finding his footing, but I feel like Isaiah Hartenstein is playing. I don't want to say safe, but I feel like he's trying not to aggravate his Achilles. You know what I mean? Like he's still hustling, but he's trying to move in a way where he don't want to, hurt himself. Salute Joshua Cruz. He said Alex Burks realized that he can't be Kobe Bryant on his team, so he's trying to figure out his role. Bogdanovich already adjusted. Burks still discovering. Very well said. Very well said, because that's exactly what it is. Yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm not worried about Bogdanovich. He's going to shine, trust and believe. And you know what? I feel like he's going to play great coming off the bench.
Yeah.
And then even if sometimes Tibbs may have to swap him out in the starting unit, or even if it's not at the start of the game, but maybe throughout the game and switch him in, maybe Dante is off. And maybe, Bogdanovich is on and making his shots. He's gonna be okay. Because the way the Knicks are able to space the floor out, they make the extra passes. He's gonna be in his spot. He's gonna be ready to knock down those shots. But Alex Burke, yeah, this is, I don't know. I think this is a shock for him. He's like here, like, whoa, this is not the same team that I was on. So, we'll see. Coach SAR 617, salute. He said, I think iHeart's next contract is gonna get someone fired. Why? Why? Why do you say that? Please give some backstory on that. Salute Pablo Dimas. He said OG, Precious, and iHeart will be signed. Yeah, I really hope that all three of those guys get signed. I see it. I would be shocked if the Knicks didn't keep OG for sure. I see them signing.
Yeah.
iHeart, I see them signing him because you need a backup to Mitch. Mitch is injury prone. Precious, I don't know. And not because of him, we don't know with the front office. They may have other plans otherwise or whatever. The agents start getting involved, they're talking, who knows? But I think Precious is definitely wants to be here. He's from New York. He wants to be here. He wants to play here. So, it's like how Spider wants to play here.
Yeah, they might try to throw him in a trade package or something. You
Right.
never know.
Yeah. It is injury prone, Coach Sar. I know. I know his Achilles is an injury prone injury, but the point I'm trying to make is yes, Isaiah Hartenstein has that injury, right? For his left Achilles that constantly gets sore and bothers him. But at the end of the day, if we weigh it, Isaiah Hartenstein is able to play more games than Mitch throughout a season. So if you let's just say hypothetically the Knicks then sign iHeart, who's your backup five? If because if Mitch goes down again, what do you do? And not saying that that can't happen to Isaiah Hartenstein, but he's played. Someone had made that comment before in the chat. I don't know if it was you, Coach Sar, or someone else, and they were saying how Isaiah Hartenstein hasn't played a lot of games for the Knicks. He only missed a handful of games. What was that last season? I think at the start of the season, and he played
No,
most of the remaining of the season.
no, actually, last season he played all 82 games. Um, this season so far he's at 57. He was with the Clippers 68. Cleveland 16. But so when you average it out, Mitch has played, and it's not that many years, 6 more games more than iHeart.
Right,
So I mean, in hindsight, they're both injury prone, but for season wise, iHeart was able to play more games during that season. So if that makes sense, like hypothetically, last season Mitch played 59, iHeart played 82. So when you average it out season wise, so far Mitch's only played 21 games this season. iHeart's played 59.
right.
So you know, that's what yeah, they're both injury prone. So who do you pick? Who do you worried about keeping? Mitch is signed, but I mean, they're both injury prone. So it's not one is more or less. They both are.
Right. Coach SAR 617 said Precious is better than iHeart. You think Precious has hit his ceiling, or does he have more to contribute and give? And you feel you see growth with him, not just with the team, but within his game.
Even if you don't, you're gonna see growth, and even if he's can be more so just be consistent. you know, um, and just continue to give us, what he like that Orlando Magic game was like spot on. If he can just, yeah, you know he's not gonna give us a double double every night, but even you give us like the 15 points and the blocks are there and
Mm.
maybe 5 rebounds, but just the consistency, like that Hawks game, and I think that wasn't on him. I think that was more of a coach's decision when he sat and decided to go with Burks. Which that was, I think
Horrible
that
call.
was, yeah, that was a factor, and
Horrible
I think
decision. Yeah.
in us, with the court that game. But in any event, if he could just, stay consistent, as far as what he can give us, you're not going to get a double double every night, but it's the consistency for me when it comes to players.
Yeah. I agree. And I think that's a big thing that the Knicks were lacking before, and that's why we got rid of dead weight. Um, RJ Barrett, inconsistent, hot and cold. Emmanuel quickly, hot and cold. Quentin Grimes, hot and cold. So I think that's a big thing that I feel like the front office is looking for now is players who are going to be consistent throughout the season. Um, and yeah, I think Precious has more to give.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think he's reached his ceiling. I think that he's going to continue to get better because he's getting the opportunity with this Knicks organization and he's showing what he can do, not just because he wants to play here, but he wasn't really able to get the minutes playing for Toronto where they had all the players that they needed. Um, you know, so it was kind of hard to implement him into the game as much. So with this Knicks team, maybe in a way it kind of worked out with the injuries because he was able to be put into the game and he's showing not just Tibbs and his teammates, but the organization, the front office, I deserve playing time because this is what I can bring and this is what I can do. So I definitely think um, I think Precious is a little better than iHeart in that he can give you a little bit more scoring, But I think like iHeart, he can give you the other intangibles, like the steals, like the blocks. Um, the passes, yeah, but I think iHeart's passes are a lot better. But I
Yeah,
just think that he can give you a little bit more than just I can dunk the ball or I can give you a quick layup. You know, it's the other things that I'm looking for in those bigs and what they can do because nowadays in the NBA, those center positions, these guys know how to shoot the three, they can pass, they can dribble. Then it's not like back in the day where you just fed them the ball on the block and they were able to go to work on the post. So yeah, I definitely see Precious for sure growing within his game.
yeah, and Pablo Demas, yeah, Precious and Deuce, yeah, they will continue to grow. I agree. Like you're gonna see you haven't seen the best of them. Put it like that. I truly believe that they will continue to grow in their roles.
Salute Jay Boogie. He said Josh Hart has been on his red nose pitbull game in straight attack mode. Shout out to the chat and the two Knicks chicks holding us down every
Shout
Saturday
out
morning.
Jay
Salute,
Boogie.
salute, salute. Capital threes. Jay Boogie. What's going on, Jay Boogie? Yeah, Josh Hart. You know, I remember in one of the episodes you had used the word you see the potential when we were discussing Randall. And you was like, because we was discussing how Randall was making the game harder for himself. And you was like, if he just slows it down, plays his game, make better, smarter decisions, you was like, he's capable of being really good. You was like, because we see it. And that's the same thing that I was saying with Josh Hart. Remember, I kept harping on him. I wasn't necessarily bashing him, but I'm like, why can't Josh Hart give us, 14 points, 12 points? I'm not asking for a lot because he's shown in the past that he can give you 17, 20 points. I was like, well, I'm not even asking for 17 to 20. I just was like, if he gave us 12, 13 points, I'm like, that would help. It helps to those guys like Randall, like Brunson, like Dante DiVincenzo, who's scoring and giving you 20 plus points a night. When you have those 12 to 14, 15 points from a Josh Hart, from Miles McBride, from Precious Achua, it helps when you're not just relying on the same three guys to give you scoring. Josh Hart showed the potential that you can do those things, and I don't know if it was the him being exhausted and tired at the start of the season, which could have been. It seems like he's electrolytes, he's doubled down on those. I don't know, he's taking an IV. I don't know what it is, but his energy is high. He's back to what we saw when we first acquired him, and the energy's there. He's up and down the floor. He's grabbing rebounds. I'm impressed at what he's doing. He's giving you almost a triple double damn near every night. He's giving you a double double. He's giving you the points. He's giving you the rebounds. He's stealing the ball. He's making great passes. The turnovers, I agree, he needs to watch. But I think he's locked in. He's focused. And if he can keep this up, I mean, man, he's gonna be really dangerous for the postseason for the Knicks. But I really like what I'm seeing from Josh Hart, and this is what I was looking for from him. To be able to see him step up and give us, again, we know he could rebound, we know you could pass the ball, but it was the points that I wanted to see more so from him. Um, Parrish said, I prefer to have Grimes in the playoffs. His defense wins games. Look how he checked Brunson and actually beat us, except for a lucky call. Grimes stripped Jimmy Butler to win a playoff game. So, Parrish, do you not feel comfortable with any of the guys who we have here, whether that be Josh Hart, DiVincenzo, McBride, who's also a great defender? And I know these guys aren't to the level of what Grimes brought, but are you saying that you don't feel as confident with those guys defensively when they're on the floor come playoff time? Because I think that who we have now for sure can guard anyone on the floor. I think it also takes more of a collective effort. Um,
Well, I mean, right now, even Grimes is still, nursing a injured knee. So, um, you know, he's another one that's injury prone. Um, so do I would I rather take, Grimes right now? Not in in this situation. No. Yeah, he when he was with us and when he was healthy, he's an excellent defensive, lockdown, person. But right now, no, I wouldn't take Grimes because of the injury that he suffered to his knee and continues to suffer to this day. So that was a nice dump for the Knicks to get rid of that that liability for them. When healthy, yeah, he was that awesome lockdown defender, but right now, no.
I think also it was the inconsistency from scoring.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
too.
like that it was the rushing of the shot, and the Knicks just was like, yeah, no, I thought he was great defensively. I agree, but yeah, I think who we have now could totally step up to the plate, and these guys can play just as great as defense. Salute Walter White. He said, "Salute, ladies. Burks hasn't set his feet on two shots all season. He's day drinking before the."
That
I mean, listen, the way he's out there playing, it looks like you know, he's in Midtown at one of the bars. Lost. I just, I don't know. iHeart is going to OKC. They need a real big man, and we'll pay him 70 million, according to Woj. I hope not. I would really hate to see iHeart go. I like what he's done in this next team. I really have, and I get if it comes down to money, and they can't pay him what he's looking for, but I think that would really be a bummer to lose him.
Yeah, because OKC, they, remember they got rid of their big man. So that's sounds about right. But hey,
Precious can be a star in this league, not this team, but in the NBA. Yeah, I think so. I mean, for sure. On the Knicks, I like him coming off the bench. But he's another one. I hope that the Knicks are able to keep him because this guy wants to be here. He's from New York. He wants to play here. I like how he fits in like a OG Ananobi with this team. I remember when he first came, and we were talking about this a few episodes. Some of the Knicks fans was like, "Yo, he can't catch the ball. He got butter on his fingers. He looks lost." I just think he was finding his footing, and he's found that, and you could just see he's proud to be here, and it shows. So he said Precious is going to learn how to finish around the rim better. Most players improve under Tibbs, so I have no reason to doubt. Yeah, for sure. He's definitely going to get better. I don't think he's reached his ceiling. I for sure think Precious is going to get a lot better. And, he's definitely going to be needed because, like I said, he can play that four position backup Randall, and then he could help out on the five. He's not as tall, but he can still help out in either position. There was dead weight. There was dead weight because you had inconsistencies from those players that were the dead weight. RJ Barrett would have one or two nice games, and the next games, it's almost like RJ couldn't find where he fit in. I wanted, where RJ was here, I wanted the Knicks to have a big three:
yeah.
Brunson, Randall, RJ. RJ couldn't fit into that Randall and Brunson mix. Had nothing to do with Randall and Brunson. RJ couldn't figure out where do I fit in with those two guys. And then he started dropping. I remember someone in the chat was arguing with me, going, "What are you talking about? What games are you watching? RJ's giving us 20 points a game, 15." I said, "No, he's giving you around 12 to 13, some nights 9 if you're lucky, 13 if you're lucky, but he was giving you about 9 to maybe 12 points."
Hmm.
He plateaued. He lost his rhythm. So he started off great, which was opposite of what he used to do with the slow starts, but then he couldn't find his rhythm. Quickly, I thought Quickly was somewhat consistent, But sometimes it was the dribbling the hell out of the ball, dribbling too long and not making a pass, chucking up a three that sometimes, yeah, he did get better at his 3 pointers, but sometimes you didn't need it. And then some nights he was missing too. It was inconsistency. Where is Quickly? Playoffs last season, we were looking for Quickly. He was nowhere to be found. And this was before he got injured. A non factor. He didn't contribute. Quentin Grimes, confidence issue. And he's going to get better. But it was a confidence issue. It was the inconsistency. Some nights he had a great night. He was able to give us 20 points, 15, 16 points, but he just wasn't consistent. We were looking for him. I didn't even want him to give us a whole lot of points. But Quentin Grimes couldn't even put the ball on the floor and drive to the basket or give you a mid-range shot. Everything with him was a quick three-pointer. Hot potato, the ball's in my hand, I got to shoot the ball up. There was no consistency with Grimes. So, yes, they were dead weight. The Knicks had to get rid of the dead, inconsistent weight. We need guys that are going to be consistent and that are ready now. I don't think the Knicks have room to have too many guys on the team that are that need to be what's the word I'm looking for? Developed. You had Grimes and you had Sims. That's enough. And that's too many. So now we just have Sims who's getting better, who's getting the minutes, getting the reps as you alluded to before. And I love that for him. I love that for Sims. He's gonna get better as well. But you can't have too many guys on a team that need to be developed. Tibbs doesn't have time for that. He's also on a time clock. He has one more season left.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. What do you think? Again, depending on how the Knicks finish in the postseason this year, do you think Tibbs is going to get re-signed or the Knicks are going to let him go?
Again, I think it depends on, that's like saying with OG and iHeart and Precious, it depends on, how well they do. Um, and there's no indication. It's like, again, the course that they're being tight-lipped and, not even discussing it. And so you really don't know. I think it's gonna depend like how well they do, you know, um, for the season. I mean, yeah, the players have bought into the system, so it's a possibility that, they will sign him. It's like no one's like displaying displeasure. So, so you can't tell, because players, I believe they have factors in, you know, coaches and who they, feel that they could play under in this system.
Hmm.
So you don't know, you know. So
Yeah, I think Tibbs has done a great job turning the organization around with
he
help from the
has.
front office. I think this Knicks team has went from mediocre and sloppy to a cleaner. We found our identity. We all have one end goal, and that's to get better every day and get closer towards a championship team. And even before we get to there, to become known as a playoff team every year.
Yeah. And
Not we
cause
make the playoffs one year, maybe two, and then we don't get there. No, this is the tone now.
yeah.
And it started from the front office not making the right decisions, Dolan trying to have too much control. So, in all, starting from the front office, going to Tibbs, it's been, and to the players, there's been a big shift in the Knicks organization, and you see it.
And then he was really tested during the injury phase. And that when a coach can get over that hump, that says a lot about them. Considering, it was like instead of next man up, it was like all, man down, and he's adjusted, according to what he had to play with. And so he was able to hold his own and make the adjustments. Yeah, there were games we should have won, and that we didn't. But overall, he was able to keep the team afloat and keep them within that the fourth. Um, and so that says a lot about him. He was battle
Mhm.
tested, and he seemed to come through So I think that he's done a lot. He's brought the Knicks a long way considering. Yeah, there's also always gonna have somebody who wants tips head, but hey, overall I think he did a great job considering.
Yeah, and I feel like Leon Rose and other guys at the front office was like, okay, I'm sure Tibbs, they had meetings and Tibbs said, I'm working with what I have. But if you get me these type of players, I can bring us a little further. And I
Hmm.
think they said, okay, I'm gonna do what we need to do to get rid of these players and bring you in these players. So now you have the platform to do what you need to do, show us what you can do. And I think there's somewhat of a pressure too, especially this season with all the injuries for Tibbs to pull off a successful season. And I don't think that necessarily, if the Knicks only make it to and they get knocked out in the first round, it's necessarily a horrible season. I just think that Tibbs is under that pressure, excuse me, that pressure to bring the Knicks further. The last time the Knicks had a pretty solid coach was when they had Woodson. And Woodson was
Okay.
their last, yeah, Woody was their last good coach. But I do think that it's hard to say right now. I agree with you. I think it depends how the Knicks finish the season and then how the Knicks play next season for 2024-2025 season. And that determines if the Knicks hold on to Tibbs. And then if not, who should they be on the market to bring in as the new head coach if that's the direction that they're going to take. Um, yeah, Rodney Coleman. I know Diva Locks had mentioned this before. I did see it too. Hart and Brunson, they are plant based. They decided to go plant based throughout the regular season and let go of the meat. And I was having this conversation with Diva Locks. I think we saw Cat from the T Wolves get hurt with his meniscus. Steph Curry just twisted up his ankle. Everything came back negative, so he's day to day. I think that nowadays in the league, you see a lot more injuries because I think part of it is the nutrition. And not to say that guys don't have a lot of money to get a chef, get a dietitian, but I think when you're eating the junk or you're not eating like a really strict diet, believe it or not, it factors what you put into your body when you're an athlete. And some injuries, you just can't help it, they're unpreventable. But I think that, you know, like I wonder what does Mitchell Robinson eat throughout the season. I'm not saying he's eating McDonald's or Popeyes, but I think even when you're on the off season, it's okay to have cheat days. But when you're in a professional sport, you have to eat very, very clean. Like I'm not saying, oh, you got to eat all this protein and you got to have. I'm talking about you got to eat clean. You can't eat nothing junky. You got to like almost be damn near plant based to keep yourself healthy because the way the foods are modified now, it triggers into your body. I don't care how much
Yeah.
working out you do, but you see so many injuries now in the game of basketball, and I think it's part of it is what the players are eating. Even if you are buying organic,
No, no, no.
so I think it just matters what guys are eating and what they're putting into their body. Let's see. Salute Ajay. What's going on, Ajay? I gotta finish watching you guys' latest episode. I started it, I gotta finish it. Parish Jugger said, defense is how we win, period. I'll take Grimes over Bojan and Burks any day. Wow. That's really interesting, Parish. I mean, granted, Bojan doesn't play any defense and Burks barely either. So yeah, if you're talking about those two guys, I'll keep Grimes over the two. However, I would probably, and this is all honesty, I probably would have kept Grimes and not even looked at Burks for the defense because Bojan could actually give you the points. If Grimes was a scoring threat like Bojan, I would have said, okay, cool. But no, I'm just that's very shocking that you said that.
No, I
Again,
agree with him. If you could kept, Grimes and got and not brought Burks along, I that's the ultimate, because
right.
defense and the bogey with the offense. But if it was the if Grimes would have stayed consistent, and he would have been a great fit, for the team. But he was just lacking, for whether it's confidence or whatever. So you got to make a shift and a move and do what's best for the team and the end result.
Jay Boogie said iHeart and Trey Young will be in San Antonio and we will replace iHeart in the draft. But with who? Who do you think the Knicks should replace iHeart with? Because again, we are going to need a backup center. You can't just rely on just Mitch. Even if Mitch wasn't injury prone, I don't think relying on one player for one position is a good idea. Case in point, look at what we did with Jalen Brunson. So I agree 100%. Randall was nowhere to be found in every playoff game, but the Knicks do need him. He's the difference maker for sure. And I pray that Randall shows up in these playoffs. I pray that he comes through and he doesn't dim his light. I hope he shines very bright and proves why he should remain a New York Knick. Rodney Coleman said, I'm sorry, but Sims is a 4-year college player, so he is what he is. Yeah, salute to Jarrell. I am Jarrell. He said he don't think Sims should be in the league.
Wow.
Yeah. He said he don't think Sims should be in the league because he just doesn't see it.
Yeah, he
You
he
know,
does he does play like passive.
he
Um,
plays like a college player.
yeah, I mean, and
He don't he don't seem to have found that NBA rhythm yet. He's still playing like a college player and not like an NBA player. That adjustment. And I don't know because you were all for and Paris Sugar, he needs to get in the game more. He needs more
oh,
minutes. He needs more
I
reps. And I
agree.
agree. No, I agree with what you're saying. But I think maybe that's why that shift hasn't changed with Sims and where he's playing at an NBA level. I just feel like, and I like Sims. I do. I like what he does, the little things that he do, but I just haven't seen that shift of him playing more like an NBA style player.
I think once that rotation gets solid, they may shift him down to the G League. Who
Right.
knows? I don't see him in that rotation. I just don't.
Yeah. Hit the like button, guys. And those of you who are new, subscribe to the channel. We want to thank everybody for tuning in with us on this Saturday, as always. Talking all things New York Knicks. So,
Oh, let me just touch on it because I know but a lot of people have heard it. Just OG, just his injury report. For the most part, he's practicing. It's just a matter of he was practicing on Thursday, and he signaled to likely is the closest to returning to the team. He's just waiting for it to get cleared. So when that'll happen, maybe that's gonna happen for the road trip. Maybe they'll sit him out for these two back to backs and clear him, for that road trip. So OG's, scheduled to come back quicker than Randall, which it's better because with Randall, with his injury, that's nothing, to play with. So OG, he's coming back any day now. And of course, Mitch is still, just doing his little, exercise and running. So I think they're gonna hold Mitch out, and see where they go for the end of the season. So that's the latest
yeah.
on OG.
Do you think Randall not opting to have the surgery is going to affect him next season, even once he does have it? Because you know how they say sometimes when players they wait it out and then they have the surgery, sometimes it can affect them in the following season. Do you think that's going to affect him?
No, see, I think if Randall come back, he's gonna definitely probably opt to have that surgery in the off season. so that way he can rehab and he may not, be ready that's the thing, he may get be ready for when the season starts. So I think he's just gonna try to play on it, play through it with just that rest that he's gotten, and probably try to opt for it in the off season.
But what I'm asking is, do you think that it's going to affect him as a player, his play next season? Like I
No,
know he's going to have the surgery, but because he opted not to have the surgery immediately and he's waiting because he wants to try to help his team the remainder of this season. Okay, the off season comes, he has the surgery. Do you think that's going to affect him in the 2024-2025 season and that maybe it could slow him down? Do you think that's going to affect him?
no, I don't think so, because that's it with the surgery. That'll bring more confidence, and he can definitely test it, more so, I think that'll just bring him more reassurance that, well, he's definitely at 100%. So I don't know. I don't think so. I hope not, because the surgery hopefully will, assure him. I mean, nothing's guaranteed, but at least give him more comfort to know that it was repaired, you know, um, most likely he'll probably keep it, padded, for duration of his career. Who knows?
Hmm.
To help, protect it. So I don't think it will.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with the knowing that you're back at 100% because I believe once OG and Randall come back, they're most likely they're not going to be at 100%. They'll probably be at maybe 70, 75, maybe 80%. I just think they have to be careful moving into these remainder of these games. And like I said, I think even if they come back for the regular season, only play 5 games together, that's fine. Maybe even 3. I just don't want to rush anybody back and they tweak something before we start the playoffs. Because I think if you look at it in this way, I think the Knicks have a slight advantage. Because if you notice, and you and I were talking about this yesterday, anything could happen with even the top teams as far as teams getting players getting hurt.
Yeah.
Boston's at the top, but Tatum could get an injury. Brown could get an injury. White could get an injury. You know what I mean? Somebody on Cleveland could get it. Anybody, it could happen throughout the remainder of this regular season. So I think where the Knicks could have somewhat of advantages because our players had the injuries a few months ago, and they'll be ready to come back for the postseason. So now we have a healthier squad back, whereas other teams, as we're playing these under 20 games remaining, they may not have guys who can be there for them, in the postseason. So the Knicks, it can kind of may actually work in their favor having guys be back ready for the postseason if we look at it in that aspect. So I just think as long as we have guys back and we have a healthy squad back starting for the postseason for that first round, I think that the Knicks will definitely be okay. And I just said no need to rush back. Next 3 games are Philly, Philly, and Portland. We should be able to win all 3 games with the guys we have. If OG back for those 3 games, it's just for cardio and chemistry purpose. Yeah, I think that the Knicks definitely need to take these next few games for sure. And I agree. I don't think rushing anyone back is worth
Well,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not smart. Don't even rush guys back. Like I even said that with Hartenstein, like lessen his minutes. He don't need to be playing a whole lot of minutes. You need guys ready for that first round of the playoffs. But I
Think
understand at the same time it matters where the Knicks finish off in the East. So each game really it matters that the Knicks finish off strong and get these wins. Randall is garbage if he's not healthy. He just knows only one way to play with force. Well, he's gonna have to learn how to play without it. He's gonna need it at some time in certain instances, but I think Randall has to learn how to play, his game otherwise. The shooting, I mean, I know sometimes he's great. He's great with the rebounds and helping out on the boards, but you got to be careful for your shoulder. So, but I don't think Randall is necessarily a trash bin, but I just think that, he's gonna have to learn how to adjust with without those guys. The Knicks play the Sixers back to back. They play them tomorrow at 7, and they play them again on Tuesday. The Knicks have already beat the Sixers. These are two back to back games that the Knicks should be able to win and beat them. I don't think the Knicks should go into Philly sleeping on them. What is it going to take for the Knicks to beat Philly back to back?
Um, they, again, defense. Defense wins the game. Amongst some of the other things, but I mean, just like that Orlando Magic game, man. That should be like the catalyst and set the tone. Like they have to come out like aggressive, attack first. Because when they do that, they have more success. Like, you know, um, we have Brunson back, so again, that helps these guys tremendously. Just overall, just how they play. Um, you know, watch your turnovers. That seems to have gone up. It's creeping back up. With those sloppy plays. Again, keep pressures involved. I just overall, they what they did for that Orlando Magic game, man. If they could just bottle that, man, they will definitely have true success in both these games. And they're at home and they've beaten, they're banged up. Their point guard, I think Maxi's still out. And we all know Embiid is out. So you can take advantage. A win is a win is a win, no matter how you get it or who's on that floor.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by the Knicks not taking Philly lightly with both Embiid and Maxi out because, you know, Atlanta had Trey out and the Knicks couldn't get the job done. So you can't sleep on
Yeah.
other guys in the team. This is the NBA. This is a professional league where guys know how to win games. So I think it's going to take for everyone to be locked in. The energy has to start off right at the jump ball. The energy has to be high after halftime at the start of the third quarter. The ball movement needs to be there. Guys got to trust their shot. Knock down the threes when we need them, crash the boards, setting good screens, solid screens, and making that extra pass and playing that, unselfish basketball, I think is going to really help the Knicks capitalize on these wins. But I think the Knicks need to get a win streak going. And Orlando was a great way to prove that you can beat them because I'm sure Orlando slept on the Knicks and thought, well, we already beat them 3 times. We'll beat them again. And the Knicks came out and meant business, and the Knicks have to do the same thing against Philly. Set the tone, get a nice lead, maintain the lead, and beat them back to back. Don't allow them to creep into the game or come into the game. So, yeah, I think for sure that, the Knicks could totally beat them. We will be at the pre podcast watch party, the Nothing But Knicks channel are having an event, a pre-watch party at Legends in the City. Shout out to Sim. I know Sim will be there. I think Tony Crow. I know Steph, aka Queen, is going to be there. International Andy. So we will be in the building. Those of you who don't know, now you know. Um, come on down to Legends. I'm not sure the time yet. Do you know what time?
No, what they doing the pre? I think I heard somebody say like 2:30 or something.
Oh, okay.
Because then they're going over to the garden to watch the game. They're gonna do a pre-shoot around, I think like at 5:30. I heard Sims mention that. So they're gonna do a pre-shoot around about like
Mhm.
5 o'clock, 5:30. The game's at what 7:30. Then they're going back over the Legends for a post.
Right. Yeah. So we'll definitely be in the building for the pre and get there. So if you guys haven't been to a Nothing But Knicks event, they're a lot of fun. You get to see others who you see in the chat. And it's nice because you can also get up on the panel and talk that talk with Sim. The last time I had an opportunity to go up with both Sim and Ron, and shout out to Ron, still Knicks fans. And it's a lot of fun though. You get up there and even if you don't want to, you'd be surprised who you start having conversations with at Legends, and all everyone's there from this huge Nick community. And for those of you who can grab a drink, they have really good wings there. Legends do really good wings. And it's right next to the garden too. So even if you can't stay for the post, or you can only catch the post game, come on by and support the Nothing But Knicks and their events. It's free. You don't have to pay for an entry fee or anything like that. Um, and yeah, I hope to see some of you there. And yeah, as I would say, stay tuned or go over to the Nothing But Knicks channel to get the actual timing. But I would say it would start around 2, because they're not going to start the pre podcast so close to the start of the game. So yeah, because I know Sim has to set up his equipment, and Sim brings everything. It's like ESPN. He be having the lighting, the mics. So yeah, but we will be there. We will be tuned into the game. I got the Knicks winning the next 2.
Well, I have them winning the next three. They can take. Oh, AJ said 3 p.m. Okay,
Okay,
correction. Yeah, I
so
have
3
them win the
p.m.
next three. That Portland game is a winnable game. So and we're not gonna jump into Saturday, but if we want to, I say four. Four, no. Hey,
Wow.
it's all or
Yeah, 'cause
nothing for me.
the Kings are not playing as well as they did last year. They're not. I'm gonna go.
Come
I'm gonna go
on.
3-1. I'm gonna go 3-1.
All right, so say you.
I'm gonna go 3-1, and yeah. But yeah, once again, we'll be at Legends tomorrow at 3 p.m. Nothing But Nick's pre-watch party. Come down if you can. Say hello. And thanks for everybody for tuning in today and joining us on our Ajay Got Them 4-0. We know you, Mr. Optimistic, like Diva Locks. Come on down, say hello to us if you see us there. And we love talking all things Nick. So yeah. And thank you for joining everybody. I want to thank the chat for joining us. The chat was, you guys were on fire today, from Parish Duggar, Coach SAR 617, Just Nicks for always salute joining us on a Saturday morning. Rodney Coleman, John 17 for joining us as always. Joshua Cruz, salute to you for joining us. Who else? Because I know I'm missing out. Jay Boogie, Pablo
AJ.
Demas, Ajay, Walter White. Who else am I missing? I think that's everybody today. And also to those of you who are watching who are not in the chat, salute to you for rocking out with us and watching, and salute to the replay gang for watching the videos, and those of you who leave us a comment. Don't be afraid to leave us a comment. We love interacting with you all. And for those of you who are new here, hit the subscribe button, catch us for any pre or post game coverage, and tell a friend to tell a friend about our channel. And yeah, anything else for you before we get out of here?
Nah, if you decide to come down to Legends, say hello to us. We'll be there. And
Yeah.
the beauty, you talk to other Nick content creators, and like Lady and Chef said, you may get up on the mic. It's all about healthy discussion and debate. You got an opinion just like the next man or woman, and discuss. That's what it's all about. Just connecting with other the Nick community.
I think, and Paris Jugger kind of just answered this question of what I was going to say. I think Randall has worked on the decision making, better decision making, and not making silly, minute mistakes like he used to. Um, and I think when Randall comes back, I think also being out helps you sit and watch the game. And Randall's been able to be at a couple of games in plain clothes and been able to watch the team play. And I think him also saying that he watches film now, he's going to make better decisions as far as his passing, the shots that he's taking, watching, not telegraphing his passes, because Randall was famous for telegraphing those passes. You knew the defense knew exactly who and where he was passing the ball. So I think that Randall, I don't see him coming in the game if he's double teamed or, you know, he used to dribble the ball off of his kneecap or his ankle and just the silly turnovers. I don't see him doing that as much. And I hope that Randall doesn't resort back to that. I don't see him doing that. He's also worked on with the anger and keeping himself a lot more better composed. So I don't see him doing those little silly, mistakes he was doing before. At least I hope not. So, we'll see. And, agreed. Absolutely. I say this all the time. The playoffs is a different animal. This is when teams turn it up. And this is where the Knicks have to prove that they want it more.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Knicks have to prove that they want it more. And each game and each round, they have to prove it and moving into the next round. Because while the Knicks played great against Cleveland, when they played against Miami, it wasn't even just the Knicks were off and couldn't buy a basket against Miami. Miami wanted it more and it showed. The Knicks were playing a little too passive and not as aggressive. And, we saw the results of that. So that's just the way it is. And yes, that's exactly it, Pablo Dimas. He has a lot more help. And you know what it is too? Randall trusts more. He didn't trust guys before. But now when you see guys like a Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, the Villanova boys, he like, well, I can mess with them. These guys out here, they know what they're doing. They making, good decisions. We're not saying these guys are gonna play perfect. And like Diva Lock said, and I've always said this too, some players are gonna have an off night. But I think Randall has mentally worked on his mental state. He's worked on remaining calmer and less complaints. He's a lot more composed now on the floor. And he's trusting. And I think together as a team, he's trusting. We saw Randall crack a couple of smiles before he got injured. Randall would never smile. I remember he would make a nice play and guys would go in to high five him. He wouldn't even want to high five anybody. He was still angry. Why are you angry, bro? You just scored. Why are you angry? Why are you mad? Who hurt you? But now, Randall, he is trusting his players. He knows they're going to make up the baskets. And even when Randall was off, I have to give him credit. He was making the right passes to guys in the right areas. You know what I mean? Like he was
Yeah.
making passes
Yeah.
out. He was double teamed or he was off. And I was like, there you go, Randall. Just pass it out. It's not your night.
And also, and to his credit, and let's hope by him being on that bench, he know where guys are open. And so, just by observing, like this is this guy's sweet spot where I can, and these are the things they work on in practice. If you are double team, this guy's gonna be here. Look for this cut here. So this by him being on the bench, gave him a chance to just observe and see where guys are on the floor.
Right.
So let's just hope, that this is the Randall that we'll see. Now I believe so because, he even, said how much he wants it. So now he has to prove it, which
Exactly.
he's done. But again, we're going into playoff mode now. We're going down the stretch.
Right. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. I've heard Randall say in interviews lately how he said, I just want to get out there and win. And for some reason, compared to previous seasons, I actually believe Randall now. I don't feel like this is just press conference training talk. He's just given to the media just to give an answer. I feel like he truly is ready to win a championship and he can see it happening here with the Knicks. And because he sees he has a true solid point guard and other guys who can knock down a basket and it takes some of the pressure off of him, because he's already said on the podcast P episode, he's not trying to be the number one guy. He's really comfortable being more like number three. He said, I'm not even trying to be, one of the top guys. I'm happy playing my role in being in a shadow, which is fine. So I think that Randall now is for sure ready to, and I think he's eager to get out there. Like being out there on the bench and you heard you like, yo, I can't wait to get out on that floor so I can help my team get these wins and get to the next level. So salute Ajay. He said the show gives it to us raw. I love it. You ladies are doing a tremendous job. Salute, salute.
Thank you, AJ.
Nothing is more humbling than watching guys win without you. Randall will actually be even better when he is 100% healthy. I agree 100%. I agree. I think Randall's going to come back stronger, better. His mind is clearer. I hope he's been doing some ashwagandha retreats while he's been out, meditation retreats, so he comes back even stronger and ready to go. So we'll see with but tomorrow's game, I'm looking forward to it. I want to see that high pace energy from the Knicks as the Sixers love to run. And listen, if Isaiah Hartenstein want to have a block party like he did the last time, by all means. If
Exactly.
if Precious wants to do it, by all means. We want not in nobody thinking they're gonna get any easy buckets against
I'm
us.
here for it.
Exactly. But everybody, thanks for joining us. And we'll hope to see some of you tomorrow. If not, tune in because it will be live. And yeah, we will recap these back-to-back games and go over the Knicks. And let's hope the Knicks pull out some wins too. I'm remaining positive that the Knicks can get some wins because these next under 20 games are very pivotal that the Knicks capitalize, even with them being shorthanded. It's time for guys to step up and want to capitalize on getting some wins under their belt. So until next time, family, we'll see everybody. As Diva Locks always says, let's go Knicks. And have a great weekend.
We out.
Peace.